The rain fell hard on the metal roof of Jack Miller's workshop. It was a cold autumn morning in Montana, the kind that made his old war injuries ache. At 55, Jack had spent more than half his life either fighting in wars or building machines that fought in them. Now he lived alone on 40 acres of woods and meadows, fixing cars and farm equipment for his neighbors. Jack put on his raincoat and grabbed his walking stick. Despite the weather, he needed his morning walk. The doctors said it would help his leg heal better, though after 7 years, Jack doubted it would ever be the same again. He followed his usual path into the woods behind his house. The rain made the pine needles soft under his boots. Jack liked the quiet. It helped clear his head of the memories that still haunted him. About 2 miles in, something caught his eye. A strange reflection where there shouldn't be one. Jack moved, closer, pushing aside a fallen tree covered in moss. What he found made no sense. At first it looked like a plane crash, but as Jack cleared away more brush, he realized no human had built this. The metal was wrong. Light but strong, with a strange purple-blue color that seemed to shift when he looked at it directly. Parts of it were buried in the ground, suggesting it had been there for years. "What in the world?" Jack whispered, touching the cool surface. The metal felt smooth, with no rivets or welds visible. Jack spent hours uncovering more of the object. It was big, maybe 60 feet across, but broken into pieces. Some parts looked melted, others were crushed. Whatever it was, it had crashed hard. As the rain stopped and the sun began to set, Jack made a decision. He would tell no one about this. Not yet. The government would just take it away, and Jack had seen enough of how the military handled things to know they would learn nothing from it. He gathered some smaller pieces he could carry and took them back to his workshop. Under the bright lights, the metal looked even stranger. Jack tried cutting a small piece with his best saw. The blade broke. He tried a blowtorch next. The metal didn't even get warm. Jack spent the night examining the pieces. By morning, he had come to a conclusion that both excited and terrified him. Whatever he had found, it wasn't from Earth. Over the next week, Jack made several trips to the crash site, bringing back more pieces each time. He converted his barn into a secure workshop, covering the windows and adding new locks to the doors. After 2 weeks, Jack realized he needed help. This was beyond his skills alone. He drove to his neighbor's house, 5 miles down the dirt road. Susan. Ford was watering plants on her porch when Jack pulled up. At 60, Susan was still strong and sharp. Before retiring to Montana, she had been a colonel in Air Force intelligence. "Jack Miller," she said, putting down her watering can. "Haven't seen you in a month. Thought maybe you died in that old house of yours." Jack managed to smile. "Need your help with something, Susan? Something strange." Inside her kitchen, Jack showed her photos he had taken of the crash site and some of the smaller pieces he had brought with him. Susan studied everything carefully, asking smart questions. Finally, she looked up at Jack, her face serious. "You know what this means," she said. Jack nodded. "Not human." "Not even close," Susan agreed. "And you haven't told anyone?" "Just you." Susan was quiet for a long time. "The government should know about this, Jack, so they can hide it? Study it for 20 years while telling the public nothing? The world should know about this. The world would panic." "Maybe," Jack admitted. "But look at this technology. If we could understand it, think what it could mean." Susan picked up one of the metal pieces. "You always were a dreamer, Jack. That's why I like you." She sighed. "Give me one good reason why I should help you instead of calling the Pentagon right now." Jack leaned forward. "Because you're curious. Just like me." Susan laughed. "Fine. But we need someone who understands the science. I know missiles and strategy. You know engines and machines. But this?" She gestured at the alien metal. "This needs a different kind of expert." Jack smiled. "I know just the person." 3 Days later, Jack and Susan drove to Bozeman to meet with Dr. Alan Reeves at a small coffee shop near the university. Once a respected physicist, Alan had been pushed out of academia 5 years ago after publishing papers on what he called trans-dimensional energy. The scientific community had called it nonsense. Alan was thin and nervous, with eyes that darted around the room as if looking for threats. When Jack carefully showed him one of the smaller pieces of metal under the table, Alan froze. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. "Found it," Jack said. "There's more, a lot more." Alan's hands shook as he examined the metal. "This shouldn't exist. The atomic structure, it's not possible. Will you help us?" Susan asked. Alan looked up, suddenly focused. "You have no idea what you found, do you?" Jack and Susan exchanged glances. "We know it's not from here," Jack said. "Not just not from Earth," Alan said. "If I'm right, and I need to run tests to be sure, this metal was made using principles that break the known laws of physics. Whoever built this..." He paused, his voice dropping even lower. "They're thousands of years ahead of us." As they drove back to Jack's property with Alan in the back seat, none of them noticed the small drone following their truck, a drone that wasn't built by any government on Earth. Back at the barn, Alan's excitement grew as he saw everything Jack had collected. They worked through the night, cataloging pieces and running tests with equipment Alan had brought. As dawn approached, Alan made a discovery. One of the larger components, which looked like a twisted mass of metal and strange crystal formations, began to emit a faint pulse of energy when connected to a power source. "It's still working," Alan said, amazed. "After who knows how long, after crashing, it's still functioning." The three of them watched as the pulse grew stronger, creating patterns of light that moved across the surface of other nearby components. "It's communicating," Susan said. "Or trying to. Repairing itself, I think," Alan suggested. Jack felt a mixture of wonder and unease as the lights grew brighter. "Is it safe?" Before anyone could answer, all the equipment in the barn shut down. Then after a few seconds of darkness, everything turned back on. "What just happened?" Susan asked. Alan was checking his instruments. "It sent a signal, a powerful one, like a beacon." Jack looked at the alien technology spread across his barn floor. What had been junk, a curiosity, suddenly felt dangerous. "A beacon," he repeated. "To who?" Nobody had an answer, but somewhere in the darkness of space, something received the signal. Something that had been searching for its lost technology for a very long time, and now it knew exactly where to find it. For the next 3 weeks, Jack, Susan, and Alan worked day and night in the barn. They sorted the alien pieces by what they thought might be their function. Some parts seemed like engine components. Others looked like they might be weapons or communications equipment. Many pieces remained complete mysteries. Alan set up advanced testing equipment. He studied the strange metal for hours, taking tiny samples and running tests. "This is unlike anything on Earth," Alan explained as they ate a late dinner one night. "The atoms are arranged in patterns that shouldn't be stable, yet they are. And look at this." He showed them a video on his laptop. A small piece of the purple-blue metal floated above a magnetic plate. "Anti-gravity?" Susan asked. "Not exactly," Alan said. "It's more like the metal can fold space around itself. It creates a bubble where normal physics doesn't apply." Jack leaned forward. "Could that be how their ships travel? They fold space to move great distances?" Alan nodded. "I think so. And if we could understand it better, we might be able to do the same thing. Or build weapons using the same idea," Susan added quietly. They all fell silent at that thought. Progress was slow but steady. The alien technology seemed to respond to their efforts. More lights appeared on different components as they connected them. Strange symbols glowed on surfaces that had seemed blank before. One morning, Jack found Alan still working from the night before. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he was smiling. "I figured something out," Alan said, pointing to a complex device they had assembled from several pieces. "This isn't just a communication system. It's a scanner. It can see through solid objects, maybe even across great distances." Jack helped Alan connect power to the device. The barn lights dimmed as it activated. A beam of light shot out, creating a three-dimensional image in the air above them. "Is that Jack began. Our solar system, Alan confirmed. Look. The image zoomed out, showing the entire solar system as a tiny point of light. Then it shifted, focusing on a different area of space. There, they saw something that made their heart stop. Ships, dozens of them, large and small, all made of the same strange metal as the wreckage. And they were moving. Toward Earth. How far away are they? Jack asked, his mouth dry. Alan checked the readings. Based on the scale, I'd say they're just past Neptune, moving fast. Susan was already on her phone. I'm calling Washington, this is bigger than us now. 2 days later, government vehicles arrived at Jack's property. Men in suits and military uniforms took over the barn. Jack, Susan, and Alan were questioned for hours. They explained everything they had learned. General Richard Davis, a stern man with gray hair, listened to their story. Unlike the others, he seemed to take them seriously. We've been tracking these objects for 3 days now, he told them. NASA spotted them passing Saturn. They'll reach Earth orbit in less than a week. What are you going to do? Jack asked. Prepare, as best we can. The general looked at the alien technology spread across the barn. And hope you three can tell us more about what we're facing. The government set up a secure facility around Jack's property. Scientists and military personnel arrived daily. Jack, Susan, and Alan worked with them, sharing all they had learned. 6 days later, the alien fleet entered Earth orbit. Worldwide panic followed as the ships became visible in the night sky. Governments tried to maintain order while preparing for the unknown. Then the aliens made contact. Every electronic device on Earth received the same message, translated into each local language. The aliens called themselves the Kryvax. They claimed to be an ancient race, rulers of a vast empire spanning multiple galaxies. Humans, the message began. We have observed your world for some time. You possess resources we require. Your planet's location is valuable to us. We offer you a simple choice. Surrender to us as a subject race, or face elimination. The governments of Earth responded, trying to establish a dialogue. The Kryvax simply repeated their demand. Surrender or die. They gave Earth 48 hours to decide. World leaders debated what to do. Some argued for surrender, hoping to save lives. Others insisted on fighting even against the overwhelming technology gap. In Jack's barn, now a hub of frantic activity, a breakthrough came. Alan discovered that a particular combination of alien components created a shield that could block the Kryvax scanning technology. It's like they have backdoors in their own systems, Alan explained to the general. Weaknesses built into the design that only they're supposed to know about. Can we use this? The general asked. Maybe, Jack said. If we can understand more of their technology, we might find other weaknesses. The deadline approached. Earth's military forces prepared for battle. Knowing they likely faced destruction, nuclear weapons were readied as a last resort. In a final attempt at peace, Earth transmitted a message offering to share the planet and its resources. The Kryvax responded with a single word. No. As the deadline passed, the Kryvax ships positioned themselves over major cities worldwide. Energy beams struck military bases first, destroying them instantly. Chaos erupted as millions fled urban areas. Back at Jack's property, now protected by the shield technology they had discovered, an urgent meeting took place. Their weapons used the same space-folding principles as their ships, Alan explained, showing diagrams on a screen. They're not just destroying targets, they're folding space around them, crushing everything inside. Can we stop it? The general asked. Not directly, Susan said, but we might be able to disrupt it. Jack stepped forward. We need to build something they won't expect, not just using their technology, but changing it, improving it. With what? One of the government scientists asked. Jack looked around the barn at the alien components mixed with human tools and equipment. With whatever we have. The Kryvax think they're facing a primitive species that can't understand their technology, but we've had parts of one of their ships for who knows how long. We've studied it, and now we're going to use it against them. The general nodded slowly. "What do you need?" "Everything," Jack said. "Every resource you can give us, and every skilled person who's still alive." As the world burned around them, the team began to work. The pile of alien junk was about to become something more, something the Krivax would never see coming, a weapon built by human hands but powered by alien hearts. Outside the protected zone, a Krivax scout ship detected unusual energy readings. It changed course to investigate, unaware that it was heading toward the one place on Earth where humans had learned the enemy's secrets and were ready to fight back. Day after day, explosions lit up the sky as Krivax ships destroyed cities and military bases. The human death toll reached millions within the first week. Those who survived fled to the countryside or hid underground. Inside the protected zone around Jack's property, work continued without stopping. The shield technology they had discovered kept them hidden from Krivax scanners. "For now, we need more help," Jack said during a brief break. He looked at the tired faces around him. Scientists and engineers worked in shifts, but progress was too slow. As if answering his wish, a truck arrived that afternoon. Out stepped a woman with short black hair and determined eyes. She carried a laptop case and looked around with keen interest. "Laura Bennett," she introduced herself. "Software engineer from Seattle, or what's left of it." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. "I heard you need people who can understand alien tech." Jack welcomed her to the team. Laura proved her worth within hours. While everyone else had focused on the hardware, she studied the patterns of light that appeared on the components. She believed they were a form of code. "It's not random," she explained, showing Alan her laptop screen. "There's a mathematical pattern. I think it's their programming language." The next day, a military helicopter landed, bringing more supplies and another volunteer. Peter Garcia was a former Navy SEAL with experience in advanced weapons systems. Stocky and serious, he immediately asked to see everything they had learned about Krivax weapons. The team grew stronger. Jack and Susan handled the mechanical engineering, figuring out how to combine human and alien parts. Alan focused on the space folding technology. Laura wrote programs to interface with the alien systems. Peter developed tactics for how to use whatever they built. 2 weeks into the project, they faced a major problem. The main component they needed to power their creation was damaged beyond repair. "Without it, nothing will work," Alan said, holding the broken piece. "We need another one." Peter looked at the night sky through the window, where Krivax ships glowed like new stars. "Then we get one." Jack shook his head. "Too dangerous. Their ships are heavily guarded." "Not all of them," Peter said. "Scout ships operate alone, and I spotted one circling this area yesterday. They know something's here, but the shield keeps them from pinpointing us." The general approved the mission. That night, Peter led a small team of soldiers to ambush the scout ship when it next passed over the area. Using the element of surprise and some of the technology they had already adapted, they managed to bring it down mostly intact. By morning, they had salvaged crucial components from the scout ship, including a working power source. They also captured data that Laura began to analyze immediately. "This is a breakthrough," she told the others. "Their systems have safety protocols built in, backdoors we can exploit." "Why would they build in weaknesses?" Susan asked. "Control," Laura said. "The Krivax Empire spans many worlds. They need to maintain control over their technology. These backdoors let them shut down weapons if they fall into the wrong hands." "Our hands," Jack said with a grim smile. Progress accelerated. In the barn, the pile of alien junk was transforming. Jack and Susan built a frame using earth metals reinforced with the alien alloy. Alan installed the power systems. Laura programmed the control interfaces. Peter designed weapon mounts and defensive systems. What emerged looked nothing like a Krivax ship. It was rough, asymmetrical, and clearly built by human hands, but inside it contained the heart of alien technology, modified and improved by human innovation. Laura made another important discovery while studying the captured data. The Krivax minds are highly ordered. Their thinking follows strict patterns. They don't understand chaos or random behavior. How does that help us? The general asked. I can introduce chaos into their systems, Laura explained. Random elements they won't expect or understand. It's like speaking a language they physically can't comprehend. Day by day, their creation took shape. They added parts from Earth vehicles, armor plating from tanks, control systems from fighter jets, even the engine from Jack's old pickup truck. Each human component was modified to work with the alien technology, creating something entirely new. It's beautiful, Susan said one evening, looking at their work. In a terrifying way. Will it be enough? Jack wondered aloud. No one answered. They all knew they were running out of time. Krivak's forces had conquered most major cities worldwide. Resistance continued, but Earth's military was being systematically destroyed. On the 23rd day, disaster struck. The Krivaks detected an energy surge during a test of the power systems. 3 attack ships converged on the protected zone, their weapons charging. They found us, Peter shouted as alarms blared. The shield won't hold against a direct attack. Is it ready? The general demanded, looking at their creation. Jack exchanged glances with the team. Not fully, but the main systems work. Then it's now or never, the general said. Jack climbed into the control seat they had built. Susan took the secondary position beside him. Alan, Laura, and Peter connected through headsets from the command center. Systems online, Laura reported, her fingers flying over her keyboard. I'm introducing the chaos elements now. The machine hummed to life around them. Lights flashed across control panels made from both human and alien technology. The power core, salvaged from the scout ship, pulsed with energy. Outside, the first Krivak's attack ship fired. The shield protecting the compound flickered and began to fail. Weapons ready, Peter confirmed, but we've never tested them at full power. No time like the present, Jack said, gripping the controls. The roof of the barn slid open, a modification they had made early in the project. The machine rose into the air, hovering on technology the Krivaks never intended humans to understand. The attack ships paused, as if confused by what they were seeing. It wasn't a human vehicle, but it wasn't Krivaks either. It was something new. Jack targeted the nearest ship and activated the primary weapon. Space folded between their position and the Krivaks' vessel. In an instant, part of their machine seemed to disappear, then reappear inside the enemy ship. The Krivaks' vessel exploded from within, unable to withstand having solid matter suddenly materialize inside its hull. The other ships opened fire. Energy. Beams struck their machine, but the modified armor held. Jack and Susan worked together, maneuvering with a skill born from weeks of simulated practice. Second target locked, Susan called out. Again, the space-folding weapon activated. Again, a Krivak ship erupted in flames. The third ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. Their machine caught it with a modified tractor beam. Instead of pulling the ship closer, the beam folded space around it, crushing the vessel into a ball of metal. In the sudden silence that followed, Jack looked at Susan. They had done it. Their pile of junk, transformed by human hands, had destroyed 3 advanced alien warships, but they all knew this was just the beginning. The Krivaks would send more ships, and the real fight for Earth had only just begun. News of the victory spread quickly. The remaining human military forces established a defensive perimeter around Jack's property, now referred to as Base Hope by the soldiers. Satellite images showed Krivak ships changing position, moving away, from conquered cities to form a ring in the upper atmosphere. They're afraid, Peter said, studying the images. They've never seen their own technology used against them like this. The general called an emergency meeting. Military leaders from around the world joined via secure communications. On screens around the room, tired faces looked back at them. Some spoke from underground bunkers, others from hidden mountain bases. All showed the same mix of exhaustion and desperate hope. "We need to replicate your machine," a British commander said. "How quickly can you build more?" Jack shook his head. It took us weeks with a team of experts, and we used parts from a Krivax scout ship that can't be easily replaced. Then what do you suggest? Asked a Chinese general. The Krivax have gone quiet, but they won't stay that way for long. They're regrouping. Susan stepped forward. We can't build exact copies, but we can share our knowledge. The principles behind what we've done can be adapted to different materials, different technologies. A distributed approach, Laura added. Multiple machines, each one unique but all based on the same core concepts. The idea gained support. Rather than centralizing their one advantage, they would spread it worldwide. Each resistance group would build their own machines using whatever they had available, guided by the team's discoveries. For 3 days straight, they worked on documentation. Alan created simplified explanations of the space-folding technology. Jack and Susan detailed how to integrate human and alien components. Laura wrote programs that could be adapted to different computer systems. Peter developed basic, tactical guidelines. It's not perfect, Jack admitted as they finished. A lot will depend on what materials people have, what skills are available. Humans are good at improvising, Susan said. That's our advantage. The Krivax follow patterns. We break them. They transmitted their findings using old radio networks, surviving internet connections, and military communication channels. Across the planet, groups of survivors began gathering materials and salvaging parts from downed Krivax ships. On the 5th day after their first victory, the Krivax attacked. A massive ship, 10 times larger than the attack vessels they had destroyed, descended toward Base Hope. Energy readings suggested weapons far more powerful than anything they had faced before. A command ship, the general said grimly. They're not taking any chances. Jack and the team rushed to their machine, now named Phoenix by the soldiers. They had made improvements since the first battle, but nothing that would match a command ship's power. As they prepared for what might be their last fight, an unexpected message came through. A resistance group in Brazil had completed their own machine. Another in South Africa was close. A third in Japan was operational. All were ready to join the battle. Coordinate with them, Jack told Laura. We attacked together. The Krivax command ship stopped high above the base, charging its main weapon. Phoenix rose to meet it, joined by video feeds showing the other human-made machines. Each looked different, built from local materials and modified alien parts. The Brazilian machine incorporated components from commercial airliners. The South African one used mining equipment. The Japanese machine was smaller but faster, built around salvaged car engines. All units in position, Peter reported. Attack, Pattern Alpha. Phoenix struck first, using its space-folding weapon to target the command ship's weapon ports. The massive ship shuddered but remained intact. Its outer hull was too thick, designed to withstand attacks. The Brazilian machine attacked next, using a modified version of the space-folding technology. Instead of teleporting matter inside the ship, it teleported atmosphere away from a section of hull, creating a vacuum that caused the metal to buckle. Clever, Susan said. We didn't think of that. The Krivax responded with energy beams that struck the Brazilian machine, damaging it but not destroying it. The Japanese machine darted in, faster than the Krivax targeting systems could track. It attached devices to the command ship's hull, then retreated. What are they doing? Jack asked. Watch, Laura said, monitoring the data feeds. The devices activated, creating small space folds across the hull surface. Metal twisted and warped as space itself distorted in hundreds of small points. The South African machine targeted these. Weakened areas with conventional explosives, magnifying the damage. The command ship's hull began to break apart in sections. They're using our basic principles but developing their own techniques, Alan said, amazed. Each group is approaching the problem differently. Phoenix rejoined the attack, targeting the command ship's engines. Their space-folding weapon created critical damage, causing a chain reaction of explosions across the massive vessel. The Krivax command ship tried to retreat, rising higher into the atmosphere. The 4 human machines pursued, continuing their coordinated attack. Finally, the alien vessel broke apart, its pieces falling like meteors into the ocean below. In the command center, cheers erupted. But Jack and his team knew better than to celebrate too soon. This was just one ship, and the Kryvax had many more. "We need to share what we learned," Jack said as they landed Phoenix. "Each machine found different weaknesses. Together, we're stronger." The next day, reports came in from around the world. 6 more machines had been completed. 12 more were under construction. Each resistance group added their own innovations, their own understanding of the alien technology. During a global conference call, Jack watched as engineers and scientists from different countries shared their discoveries. A pattern emerged. Human creativity was the key. The Kryvax had never encountered a species that could take their technology and improve upon it in such unexpected ways. "They think linearly," Laura explained to the group. "Their technology advances through careful, ordered steps. We jump ahead, sideways, backwards. We try things that make no sense until they suddenly do." General Davis entered the room with urgent news. "The Kryvax fleet is moving. All ships. They're repositioning into attack formation." Jack looked at the screen showing resistance leaders from around the world. "This is it. The real test. We've hurt them, confused them, but now they're bringing everything they have." A woman from the Japanese team spoke up. "We have 13 operational machines now. It's not enough to fight their entire fleet." "We don't need to defeat their entire fleet," Peter said. "We just need to hit them hard enough to make them reconsider this invasion." Susan nodded. "Make the cost too high for them to continue." The plan took shape quickly. Instead of trying to protect individual locations, all human machines would concentrate on a single objective: the Kryvax mothership, the center of their command structure. "If we can take out their leadership," Peter explained, "it might force them to withdraw, at least temporarily." As night fell, the team made final preparations. Phoenix had been repaired and improved again, using lessons from the command ship battle. Jack and Susan ran system checks while Alan fine-tuned the space-folding calibrations. Laura worked with resistance groups worldwide, coordinating the attack plan. Peter briefed military units on support operations. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Jack said as they finished, "we've already won something important. We've shown that humans can't be easily conquered, even by a species thousands of years more advanced." Susan looked at their machine, the pile of junk that had transformed into humanity's best hope. "We've shown that sometimes the best technology isn't the most advanced, it's the most adaptable." Outside, soldiers prepared defenses as the sky filled with the lights of approaching Kryvax ships. Dawn would bring either a new chapter for humanity or perhaps its final page. But for the first time since the invasion began, the humans waiting below felt something they had almost forgotten: hope. Dawn broke over a world holding its breath. The Kryvax fleet had formed a massive ring around Earth, thousands of ships reflecting sunlight like a new constellation. At their center floated the mothership, a structure so large it resembled a small moon. In Base Hope's command center, screens showed resistance groups worldwide making final preparations. 13 machines were fully operational. Each one looked different, built from whatever materials were available, but all shared the same core principles Jack and his team had discovered. "All units report ready," Laura said, looking up from her communication station. General Davis nodded. "Then we begin in 30 minutes." Jack and Susan walked out to Phoenix, now housed in a reinforced hangar. The machine had evolved since they first built it. New components salvaged from downed Kryvax ships had been added. The rough edges had been smoothed. It looked more purposeful now, less like junk and more like a weapon. "Remember when this was just pieces in your barn?" Susan asked. Jack smiled. "Feels like years ago, not weeks." Alan joined them, carrying his tablet. "I've made the final adjustments to the space folding mechanism. The range is extended by 20%. "Will it be enough?" Jack asked. "To reach the mothership?" "Yes." "To destroy it?" Alan shrugged. "That depends on how well our plan works." The plan was both simple and incredibly complex. All 13 human machines would use their space-folding technology simultaneously, not to attack the mothership directly, but to create a network of folded space around it. Then, using a technique developed by the Japanese team, they would collapse these folds inward, crushing the massive ship like a vice. Peter arrived with final tactical updates. The Brazilian machine was damaged yesterday, but they've made repairs. They'll be ready. And our diversion? Susan asked. Military forces worldwide will launch everything they have at the regular fleet, Peter said. It won't do much damage, but it should keep the Kryvax distracted while we target the mothership. The 30 minutes passed quickly. Jack, Susan, and Peter boarded Phoenix. Alan and Laura remained in the command center, coordinating with other resistance groups. All machines launch now, General Davis ordered. Across the planet, 13 machines rose into the sky. The Phoenix led the way, climbing rapidly toward the Kryvax fleet. Behind them, Earth's remaining conventional forces launched missiles, fighter jets, and anything else that could fly. Kryvax ships are responding to the conventional attack, Laura reported. Their defensive screen is thinning above the mothership. Now, Jack ordered. Phoenix activated its space-folding drive, jumping instantly to a position near the mothership. The other 12 machines appeared simultaneously at different points, forming a sphere around the massive alien vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. The Kryvax seemed confused by the sudden appearance of the human machines. Then energy weapons, fired from all sides. 2 of the human machines were hit, one destroyed instantly, the other damaged but still functional. Initiating Phase 2, Jack said. Phoenix's main weapon activated, not attacking the mothership directly but creating a distortion in space beside it. The other machines did the same, each one generating a space fold that connected to the others, forming a web of distorted physics around the mothership. Kryvax ships rushed to defend their command center, but they couldn't target all the human machines at once. More energy beams fired. Another human machine exploded. We're losing too many, Susan warned. We need to complete the network now. 4 more connection points, Peter said, monitoring the tactical display. South African and Australian machines are moving to compensate for the losses. The web of distorted space grew tighter around the mothership. Alarms blared as Phoenix took a glancing hit from a Kryvax weapon. Hull breach in Section 3, Susan reported. Sealing now. Network at 80%. Laura's voice came through the comm system. We need all remaining machines to increase power to compensate for the lost units. Jack pushed Phoenix's systems to their limits. The power core salvaged from the Kryvax scout ship glowed dangerously bright. Warning messages flashed across control panels. We can't maintain this output for long, he warned. Just a few more seconds, Alan replied. Network at 90%, 95. A massive Kryvax warship moved between Phoenix and the mothership, charging its main weapon. Evasive action, Peter shouted, too late. The energy beam struck Phoenix directly. Systems failed across the board. The machine tumbled through space, engines sputtering. Rerouting power, Susan said, her fingers flying across the controls. Emergency systems only. Jack fought to stabilize their position. Laura, what's the network status? Complete. Laura's excited voice came through the static. Initiating collapse now. Around the mothership, the web of distorted space began to contract. The massive Kryvax vessel shuddered as physics itself compressed around it. Metal groaned and bent. Sections began to break apart. It's working, Alan shouted. The Kryvax responded with desperate fury. Every ship in range fired on. The human machines. 3 more were destroyed in quick succession. Phoenix's systems came back online just as a second energy beam headed toward them. Jack managed to dodge most of it, but the impact still sent them spinning away from the mothership. We've lost weapons. Control, Susan reported. Life support failing. Through the viewport, Jack watched as the spacefold network continued to contract. The mothership was breaking apart at its center, massive pieces tearing away as the artificial gravity well crushed it from all sides. Then, suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the mothership's core. The spacefold network collapsed completely, creating a massive shockwave that spread outward. Brace for impact, Peter yelled. The wave hit Phoenix like a physical blow. More systems failed. The hull creaked ominously. For several terrifying seconds, it seemed the machine would break apart. Then gradually the vibration stopped. Jack looked out at where the mothership had been. Only debris remained, a new asteroid field orbiting Earth. The surrounding Kryvax ships hung motionless. "Did we do it?" Susan asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Laura's voice came through the damaged comm system. "The mothership is destroyed. Kryvax fleet activity has ceased. They've stopped." For several minutes no one spoke. Phoenix drifted among the debris, its systems barely functioning. Then a new transmission came through on all frequencies. It was in the Kryvax language, but their computers translated, "Cease hostilities, preparing to withdraw." 6 months later, Jack stood on the porch of his rebuilt house looking up at the night sky. The last Kryvax ships had left Earth's orbit 3 months ago, retreating to the outer edges of the solar system. Susan joined him, handing him a cup of coffee. General Davis called. The South Korean team successfully tested their new drive system yesterday, based on the Kryvax technology but improved. "How many ships do we have now?" Jack asked. 17 completed, another 30 under construction worldwide. Susan looked up at the stars. "We'll be ready if they ever come back." "They won't," Jack said confidently. "Not to attack anyway." The message they sent before leaving said they were re-evaluating their assessment of human capabilities. Inside the house, voices and laughter could be heard. Alan, Laura, and Peter were visiting, along with engineers from resistance groups around the world. They were sharing ideas, planning the next generation of human-alien hybrid technology. "What do you think happens next?" Susan asked. Jack smiled. "We go out there, we explore, we learn, and we remember what we discovered during the invasion, that sometimes a pile of junk can become a terrifying war machine. That, and something more important." Jack looked back at the house where humans who had saved their world were building its future. "That our greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to take what exists and imagine what could be." In orbit above them, the first human ship capable of interstellar travel was nearing completion. Built from salvaged Kryvax technology and human innovation, it represented the beginning of humanity's journey to the stars, and on its hull, visible to any alien species they might encounter, was a simple message. "We come in peace, but remember what we did to the Kryvax." No species in the galaxy would make the mistake of underestimating humans again, especially not after they learned how humanity had defeated one of the most advanced civilizations in the universe with what had started as nothing more than a pile of junk.